Hello, and welcome back to another Mission Control, a podcast focusing on executive directors and nonprofit leaders and how they strive to make positive impacts in their community. I'm your host, Paul Schmidt, owner and creative video strategist for UnoDeuce Multimedia, and I would like to welcome a special guest today, President and CEO of Choose Lansing, Julie Pingston. Hi, Julie. How are you today?
Great, Paul. I am so excited to be here. Thank you. I've heard some of these in the past, so glad to be a part of your world here.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I appreciate that you have some time. I mean, I know that things have been kind of hectic, but hey, I'm glad you're able to make some time for this. But to start it all off, how we start off each program, because the program is called Mission Control, we start off with what your mission is. So, what is the mission of Choose Lansing?
So it's really funny that you said that this was to talk to people who impact the community, and that is really part of literally our mission statement. It's to positively impact this region by bringing visitors to our destination. So we want everything to do with growing the community, creating new opportunities so that visitors continue to come here and find fun things to do, see, and experience. So that is what you wanted to interview people for is what we do every day, trying to make this community better for visitors, which in turn makes it really better for everyone because what a visitor likes is what we all like. We all like to have new things to go to, new festivals, new experiences, so it all works very hand in hand.
Well, and bringing visitors to the areas where you are has been like your life's mantra. That seems to be like what you've done since the very beginning. So, what is it about, you know, the tourism industry or the hospitality industry that really kind of like said, you're like, this is it for me. This is what I want to do.
That's an interesting question. And because at my age in the career path, not a lot of people went to school to be in tourism and hospitality back then. Like you kind of fell into this industry and not by design. So the School of Hospitality Business at Michigan State was in existence when I was in school, but I just had never thought of a career path related to tourism or what even that is. And most people would not have known anything different than that either. So I actually followed the footprints of my passions, which were I love political science and I love Spanish. So I thought I'm going to work for the State Department. I'm going to kind of do that global diplomacy, bring people together, and was going down that path. I went to Washington D.C. on an internship, and I got appointed when the I worked for a presidential candidate. He got elected, George Bush Sr. He got elected, and I ended up following this internship that I had to have. I just kind of fell into all of my career path, quite honestly. But he got elected, and I got appointed within his administration, and I ended up in the Department of Commerce in Travel and Tourism Administration. So our job was to market the United States as a travel destination. And so that work goes on today, but I just loved living in DC, was there for about 3 years. And when I came to the conclusion that that wasn't a lifelong home for me, so I thought, all right, I'll head back to Michigan. Got together with a former boyfriend who is now my husband, so that all worked out well also. But when I came back, it was that bigger decision. Am I staying in government and politics and what does that look like? Or I really did think that tourism and hospitality had a lot of connections to my passions, to things I wanted to continue to do and not give up. And so I was job hunting and found this organization at the time, the Greater Lansing Convention and Visitors Bureau, all the words, now Choose Lansing. And that was 32 years ago. So I have not left. I've been in this organization since I moved to Lansing. We started when I got here, we had 9 people. We now have 27. So we've grown as the community has grown with us. This Lansing region has gotten bigger. And so our organization has been able to do the same. And Michigan State University has had more enrollment, more students. So that just helps all of this grow for tourism and what we do to help facilitate that here in our community. So everything on my journey to tourism was somehow I followed a path that was given to me, and I feel strongly that I didn't make all those decisions. I kind of fell into some of them, but I'm really glad the way that I was able to find something that suited me, worked for all of my strengths, and then I found a community. I'm not from here originally. I didn't go to Michigan State. So found a community that I also wanted to ingrain with and become the advocate for. So it's a long story, but with a short ending. I'm still here.
Oh, I know, and that's really what's key is like, not only did you become a resident, you become like a lifelong pillar in the community, especially in that hospitality tourism area. And but I know you get this question a lot. I know that I do when people are like, "What does Lansing have? Why should I come to Lansing? What is there?" And I know that I hear from you all the time, so I know. But when you get asked that question, what's your answer?
So it is a great question because our job, one of the things that we do is market the community. And it is hard to market this as a destination. It's not like, you know what, we're a beach town. Come here, go to the beach. That's very clear. Or if you have mountains or trails, going up into the mountain ranges, that's very clear. If you're Orlando, it must be really easy for them, I think. But for us, we have a lot of so many things. So we have all of the great assets of a Big Ten university, like world class theater, performing arts. We have our own symphony, not related to the university, but our own Lansing Symphony Orchestra. Like the arts and culture is so strong here that people can come to a smaller community and find those big city opportunities. And I think that's one of the things that we all take for granted because if you live here, you've grown up around it and it's just always been there. But we're very fortunate to have that. So we've definitely worked to market that. We're definitely different too because we have two sides to us. We're that Michigan State University, but we're that state capital, state government. And so we have a blend of history and the things that being a capital city bring us and that in in having the assets that we have related to that, but then also Michigan State University with that energy of the students and all that they have going on campus with activities. So it's really those two balances create all these other opportunities where we have wonderful river trails that really have connected now from north of Lansing all the way into Mason. And that's something that connects our communities together that most people, again, don't have. They have a trail maybe here or a trail there, but we have this very dynamic trail along Riverfront, along all of our attractions. And so we may not have the biggest of everything, but we have a lot of all the things. We have a zoo, we have a science center, we have art galleries, we have great shopping, great restaurants, all of that all put together creates a destination that has really something for everyone. And I think that's probably the best message is that we don't have that one thing. We have a lot of what you're looking for.
Is there I mean, I know that you'll be biased with this question, but I mean, but is there anything that Lansing is missing?
Huh, that's a great question. I don't know if anybody's ever asked me that one. Good job. I would say we're not missing it, but we're not taking advantage of it. We have a very huge asset running through a lot of our community, which is the Grand River. And the Grand River could be so much more. We do have some points where you can connect with kayaking and other water activities, but there's a lot of people working on some of that right now to really provide opportunities where there's mapping so that you know if you're on the water and you're kayaking and you're near Potter Park Zoo, what are the next things coming up where you could tie off and then go get some lunch, walk around a museum, and then get back on the river and go forward. So that's all coming in some form or fashion, we know. And I think that's something that will have a lot of opportunity for this community in the future. I've been in on some meetings, related to the northern neighborhood, Rio Town, and that area is all along the river. But when you're walking along the sidewalks there, you really forget that. And so, how do we make that river more of an asset and something that people can gravitate to and and find and then follow the trail along the true river trail. You actually need the river to follow the river trail. So looking to really enhance that asset because I think it's something that we can do so much more with.
But what and an opposite end of that is like, what have you seen as been the biggest shift in the decades that you've been doing this? What has been the biggest shift between when you started till now that has been really very crucial to the area?
So one of the key things, and it's kind of a full circle for me personally, when I moved here, our office was on Pier Marquette. That's on off Michigan Avenue, right by the Clara's former train station, now Bobcat Bonnie's and Starbucks. And so that office space, when I moved here 32 years ago, the area around it was absolutely nothing. There was actually the Michigan Avenue strip still had, the peep shows. They weren't open, but they were just abandoned buildings and falling apart. Not the best look for 2 blocks from the Capitol. And so one of the biggest game changers when the stadium came to fruition and the Lansing Lugnuts moved in. And that changed the whole downtown. And that's right when our office moved to Old Town. And again, that was nothing. That was when we moved there to Old Town to the building right on Turner Street. Everybody was wondering where we were going. We didn't even know where we were going, just North Lansing, I don't know. So that developed around us as well. And then we moved back to Michigan Avenue. So to see the community in those nodes grow, and we were, looking out the window or participating in some of it, when you look back, it does take, you always want development to happen quickly. And if we could just have this now, but when you look back, I've been here 32 years, and all of this area where I have had my footprint of my office has changed dramatically. And that's, think about what the next 30 years can do. So that's what just a couple catalysts like the Lansing Lugnuts in the stadium, or someone believing in Old Town to become that cultural, commercial, arts and cultural center has, those visions that come to fruition.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. So it sounds like almost like you like, you found an office, spread a little fairy dust, things happened, and you moved to
Yeah,
the
the way
next
I
plant.
said that didn't sound like it just followed me, didn't it? It kind of sounded like that. Yeah. Back in
Yeah,
those days, I was not the decision maker of where to move us, though. So I did move us
fair,
back to Michigan Avenue, but yeah.
fair
But
enough.
I'll take
Fair
some fairy
enough.
dust. That's all good.
Hey, well, speaking of generating some fairy dust, you had to take the reins of the leadership in a most interesting time.
I
Talk a
did.
little bit
I
about that
sure did.
transition.
Yeah. So I think it's been stated a few times here that I've been around a while. And when we started, I said we had 9 people. I was able to grow within the organization, and that was very fortunate for me that we grew and I was able to grow within. And so for a smaller organization, that's not always possible. And the one of the CEOs that was my predecessor, he just really gave me a lot of opportunities to do things with him instead of watch him do them. And then he'd start saying, "You just do that because you've got this," and kind of gave me that growth and that mentorship that I didn't know I was looking for, but he helped me figure out. And so then we had a different leader, and by then he saw that I was running with a lot of things, and he let me continue in that way, and I became chief operating officer. um, and then I got hired to be president and CEO, and my first day was March 11th of 2020. So it was a Wednesday, and then by Friday, we're telling everyone, "Hey, y'all might just have to work from home for a couple of weeks. We'll be figuring this out." And the next Friday, being that a lot of our funding comes from people staying in hotel rooms, everybody was telling us, You're not going to have any money. You're going to have to hunker down." And so we shifted our staff and furloughed everybody but 5 people. So we took our management team and had 5 people for about 3 or 4 months, and then we're able to slowly build back. And it took a while. It was a lot. In our team that was the 5 that that remained really did a mountains amount of work. For an industry that was shut down, So we had to keep them informed, but we also had to provide resources or opportunities that would help them. And so that was not something we typically had done in that fashion. And so, how do we make the list that says where everybody can get curbside pickup? Well, we work with all the restaurants. So, how can we be the one to create that? And we did. And we provided hotels information for those that were frontline responders and medical professionals that needed to stay in a hotel to do quarantine or not be exposed to others. So, we just did things that needed doing. We didn't have a plan. We just kept looking at what where the needs were, how we could help our local businesses get through that, and did an awful lot of advocacy related to the tourism and hospitality industry. That we became that spokesperson, and that was definitely a role that was very understated before that, and now it's very high level 5 years later. Like, we are the spokesperson for the industry, and we really advocate for the needs locally, but also statewide, and making sure that our businesses have what they need to be successful through legislature or local policies. So it's been a whirlwind of 5 years, I guess is the best way to call it.
No, I mean, that's just, I mean, it's just amazing.
Mhm.
You do this natural transition to where your next step was, and then this all
Mhm.
comes about. How did you manage to stay positive
That's a
in
great
that time?
question. Couple things that jump to my mind quickly is I have never been able to be one for whatever reason to work at home. So it was all of a sudden a really big challenge for me personally.
Hmm.
And in this new role, now what? So I this is so funny. I had the governor's order that essential personnel could go to their place of employment. I made a copy of it and put it stapled my business card in case I were to get pulled over for being out of my house. That's how it was at the
Hmm.
start of the pandemic. So I did, maybe after the 4 or 5 days, I did come in every day, and that's where I was able to just really function, do what needed to be done, very focused. But what kept me positive was people knew that as time passed a little bit, people would paste notes on my door. They would leave little gifts, mail me letters, send me texts because they knew what I was doing, and they knew I was like in this. At the time I said we didn't know if we had the funds. And so I thought, I'm not going to turn on lights. I'm going to keep the heat low. I got a little space heater. So it was like this cold, dark time in my memory. But the highlights and the great things were these little snippets of people reaching out, sharing kindness and sharing joy, to keep that all going, just knowing the the situation that they were seeing me muddle through. So I think that's what kept me positive, is knowing that there were people out there rooting for me. And I also think I'd been in the organization long enough, and I was very focused, and I knew exactly what to do, even though we didn't know the circumstances of what we were doing, but I knew what to do because I had built the relationships throughout the community to call upon people that I've needed to leverage or work with or just find new ways to connect. And so I think that helped me stay positive, of just knowing
Hmm.
that I really have felt that like I was the right person at the right time because of just the way the whole thing evolved, um, the timeline of it all. So that kept me positive too, because I just felt like I can do this. I know in my heart I can do this and want to do this, and get that positive of we're going to get through this, not just we're going to do this. We're going to get through it, and we're going to come out stronger in the end. And we've had some ways to look back. Now we're getting on over 5 years now that all this happened, and that's where you look back and realize
Hmm.
how did you do that? I'm not quite sure in the moment I knew it, but looking back, I definitely know there were some of those key things that helped me.
Where was the moment that you saw of like a break where you saw like the light at the end of the tunnel and you're like, okay,
Mhm.
this is okay, we're moving. The momentum is really starting to be palpable. We're really starting to feel like we're coming back. What was that moment that you noticed that okay, we're coming back?
The first happy dance moment was when we actually, so our some of our funding, came via mail, which was another conundrum during the pandemic mail came. We didn't know, and was it stopped and was it not stopped? So we actually started getting some checks for our funding, and that all of a sudden I was like, okay, wait, people are traveling or people are staying in a hotel. I don't know why, but we're getting funding. So then you start to dig in. You're like, okay, the construction workers came back to do building and construction throughout the community and throughout the state. They came back very quickly, and a lot of those folks do use hotel rooms, and as today as we speak, and so that was some of the travelers that came through over the road trucks as well. Like all of a sudden, you really understood the core base of your business. Like if everything else goes, what is there? And it really was some of those key business sectors that made me start to feel like, all right, if they're going and they're kind of getting business as usual, they're building houses, they're building new buildings, they're moving products through trucking, then the rest is going to come. And for us it was the longest journey because we were shut down the longest. We're people facing. Our mission is to bring people together, to bring people to large events. All of that couldn't happen, and so
Mm.
and especially as an urban destination, it was even more of a challenge. So I think that first glimmer was when we first started seeing that people started to get on the move. We hired some people back in July, so we were able to realize that, okay, I think we're going to get over this. Bringing back those first few people was also a big step forward. Scary, but good.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And so over the last couple years, uh, you talked about it a little bit at the beginning of our interview when you mentioned the Greater Lansing Convention and Visitors Bureau,
Yeah.
and you've streamlined that to be called Choose Lansing. Talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that rebrand and your decision to move forward on that.
Yeah. So in early March of 2020, I had a very long list in my phone of what I'm going to do. That 90 days, your first 90 days, what are you going to do?
Mhm.
And who you're going to meet with. I had a whole list of who I'm going to meet with and just talk tourism. How do you feel about it? What can we do to help you, your business, etc. But so top of all those lists was, what did people feel about a rebrand? I had spent a lot. We had that brand for a long time, and I was tired of it, so I figured everybody else was just as tired of it. And the words Greater Lansing Convention and Visitors Bureau tells us nothing. And so as soon as we got back to that point of stability, that's when it was like, it's time. So we worked with a partner that North Star Destination Strategies, and that's what they do, is help destinations throughout the country with branding. But it's not just here's your brand, serve it up. It was based on all the research that really showed why people come here, what they're looking for, and how could we leverage that in the kind of positioning of a brand. And so, Choose Lansing is pretty clear that here's what we want you to do. We want you to choose Lansing. But the research came about because it's also, we host most of our core business here is meetings and conventions and amateur sporting events, and you're choosing that. You're choosing to come to plan a convention here. You're choosing to plan a sporting event here. Choosing to attend those events. So that word choose was very strong for us. It's also a lot of convention and visitors bureaus over time have become these more imperative names. There's Visit Detroit or experience this and that. And so we were able to find a word that was not well used throughout the state or the country. There's two Chicago, but if you look up like convention and visitors bureaus, visit, there's probably 200 visit whatever. So we felt like at least we could be distinctive in that way. And then just the way that it all came together with the logoing, the color, everything was bright, dynamic, a lot of a departure from what we did. And so we spent 2023 doing all that work. We launched it. Um, we were go big or go home. The very first placement that we put the new brand, the day after we announced it, was at Spartan Stadium on the message boards that run around in front of 72,000 people. So if it's gonna fail, it's gonna fail big, or be glorious. We'll find out. But with the day we launched it, we did not hear any negativity, anything that anybody had took exception to, and everybody has really embraced it and gravitated to it. And now it's given us so much more creative freedom, ways to do things differently in terms of how we position Lansing as a destination. Because when we're out selling nationally, we are not Mason and St. John's. We are all Lansing. We are all part of the story. We have apple orchards, we have trails, we have rivers, we have a capital, we have a Big Ten university, but it's all Lansing when we're out in that marketplace, selling nationally and regionally. So I think that it all just came together at the right time. And our marketing team did just the amazing job of putting it out to the universe. And it's still giving us a lot of inspiration and new creative ideas to run with.
Well, I must say, I would have to agree with you. Saying choose Lansing is so much easier than GLCVB.
100%. Yes. Yes. 100%.
But it really emphasizes, what you said. I mean, it's your identity, and your identity is this area. And yeah, so we want everybody to come here. And
We do.
uh yeah, so I think that's really, really, really key. So um I know that we talked about a lot of different things, um within your career and moving into your role, and as the leader, the president and CEO. But what we haven't talked about is, how do you decompress? What do you do that interests you outside of the office so that you can take take whatever you're doing outside and just refresh yourself?
That's a good question. I think last night I left here at 7 o'clock at night, so it doesn't leave a lot of time, but that's okay. That's not every day, but it was definitely
Mhm.
yesterday. But I have always had a really good ability, and this is I think why also it's important for me to not work at home, is keeping those two things separate. So as I drive home, my short drive home, I almost feel like okay, I'm leaving some of that baggage behind, some of those issues, and I'm just going to get home and you know ha- my kids are grown now, they're adults living um, out and about in their worlds. But I saw my dog come home, my husband's there, so just that normalcy is I don't have to be anything else. But I love to read. I am in a golf league. I'm not good at all in that golf league, but I do have fun with it, and they put up with me, so that's always good. But I think a weird thing that is one of my passions is I am one of those Disney adults, and so I love everything about Disney. I just love reading books about how the company started, and they have just a great corporate philosophy. But I'll also sit down and just watch a good old Beauty and the Beast every now and again, just to keep
Mhm.
like you said, fairy dust. Sometimes you want to have that little pixie dust as well.
Mhm.
So, and also love to travel. Both my kids live out of state, so we get to travel to visit them in Chicago and Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's a great way to take my time as well.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Yeah. Have you ever read the book? I know this is kind of Disney adjacent, but the book Creativity Inc.
Oh, I
It's
think I
a
have. Yeah, I think I have read that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, story
yeah,
of Pixar.
yeah.
That's like a
Pixar.
really,
Yep,
really good one.
yep. I didn't buy that one. I got it from the library, but yes, I did read that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So now that we're at the end of our interview, but if people have more questions, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Um, well, our company website, lansing.org, and then if you go to About Us, you find me. So that's easy, but I'm J Pingston at lansing.org. I'm pretty easy to find right here on Michigan Avenue, looking out the window too. So stop by anytime. We're right here,
That's
open
great.
to help visitors find what they're looking for.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Julie. Really appreciate your time and listening to your story. It's been great.
Well, this has been the quickest half hour, so sorry if I rambled a while, but thank you for having me. It's been fun.
That's awesome. Thank you again. And thank you all for once again taking some time to listen to our program. Don't miss the next episode coming out in a couple weeks. And if there's someone that you know of that you would like to hear their story, please email us at missioncontrol@UnoDeuce.com. And if this is your first time here, please subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcasting platform and give us a positive review. And thank you again. And we'll see you next time in the Control Center.